I'm Jessica Chobot. I ride for Daryl, although I wish he'd wash his hair. And this is Nerdist News. On Sunday night, we got the Valentine's Day gift we really wanted, an explosive, deadly, incredibly bloody episode of The Walking Dead. If you haven't seen it, make like the Coral of yesteryear and stay in the house because we're about to get a little bit spoilery up in this club. As a wise Italian plumber once said, here do we go! That's not that bad. So last night's episode kicked off with a bang, literally. During the post-credits scene of the mid-season finale, we saw Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham held at gunpoint by the Saviors. But just when comic book fans thought a certain scene was about to go down, Daryl blew those Saviors to smithereens with a friggin' RPG. Something tells me that there's going to be hell to pay for this once Negan finds out. And meanwhile in Alexandria, everything went to hell in a handbasket. Walkers flooded the streets. Rick and the gang rocked this winter's hottest look. Rain ponchos smeared with zombie guts. And winning Father of the Year yet again, Rick handed baby Judith off to Father Gabriel, which, statistically speaking, is like shooting her out of a t-shirt cannon and hoping she lands on a mattress on the other side of the wall. And then even more stuff happened. Sam got torn apart by walkers as a result of being a troubled little dude, which prompted Rick's latest squeeze, Jessie, to freak out and become Walker Chow, which led to Rick having to hack her arm off to free Carl. And of course, being the little shipper that he is, this resulted in Ron pulling a gun on Rick and Carl. And then, in a flash, Michonne gored Ron from behind with a katana, Ronnie Boy fired his iron, and presto, Carl is now a Cyclops. To figure out what this all means for the rest of the season, let's chat with our resident Walking Dead head, Dan Casey!
Oh, God, my eye feels great after watching that episode.
So what do you think's going to happen with Carl?
Well, I know what happens in the comics, so I'm pretty excited because I never once thought they were going to do that because, you know, there's a lot of things that happen in the comics that seem impractical for the show.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to see Carl become a real badass now because it's hard not to be. Like, you like lose an eye, you're either going to like fold and just crumple, or I think he's not going to be like the governor, but I do think he's going to be... Exactly. I think he's going to be like Spider-Man. He's going to jump 10 feet vertically and shoot webs out of his hands. No, I think he's really going to come into his own now, especially now that he has this like trauma that defines him. You know, like Tyrion got more badass in Game of Thrones after the scar? That's what's going to happen.
I just find that losing an eye is more traumatic than trying to survive in a world full of zombies.
Yeah, I think exactly. It's like comparing potatoes to a potato with its eye gouged out.
So what's this I keep hearing about a larger world?
Okay, so you might have seen these billboards around town boasting about a larger world. That is a direct reference to the comic book arc of the same name. And we're sort of getting the sense of this, like when we met the Saviors. We're going to start seeing more and more survivors, not just like pockets of raiders, like actual colonies. We're going to get the sense that this is, in fact, a larger world than our survivors anticipated. We're going to be seeing them interacting with these other colonies in new and exciting ways, and it might all come to a head at the end of the season.
Interesting. So who are the Saviors, and when will we see Negan?
Negan, the million-dollar question. Let's start with the Saviors. The Saviors are Negan's gang. Okay. They're essentially these, badass guys, bikers, and they live by a very strict set of rules imposed by Negan. He sort of like makes them, it's like a company store of old where you have to work for points to buy stuff at the company store.
Yes, funny you bring that up. I just heard about, yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Exactly.
Where it's a way to give you your freedom, but not really give you your freedom.
Exactly. He keeps them safe through fear. He basically rules through fear. Negan is a bad mother. That's really the only words I can use to describe him. He walks around with his old trusty baseball bat, Lucille, which you'll meet later this season, and hopefully he's not going to use it on anyone later this season, but we will see.
Oh, nice. All right, so who do you think is going to die in the season finale?
Oh, man. They keep faking us out with Glenn, and spoiler alert, he dies in the comics, so canonically they'd be covered if they finally, did the poor guy in, but I don't think they're going to do that. Yeah. And people are also saying Maggie, that is so stupid. She's the new Andrea. They need her for, I don't mean Andrea on the show, Andrea from the comics, who's a legit badass. They need Maggie to fill that role. They're not going to kill her. My two main guesses would be Carol, which would be straight up cruel. They were supposed to kill her back in season 3, but then they didn't because she's awesome. Yeah. And my other guess, Daryl.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
What better way to get you to hate the villain for the next season than killing the most popular character? It's a total Game of Thrones move.
Yeah, but then you lose all your fangirl.
Do you lose them, or do you tune in to find out what happens in the season 7 premiere?
I'm torn on this one. Ooh.
I think Daryl's days are numbered.
Holy shit.
Because, like, you kill Morgan, who cares? Like,
No.
yeah, it's sad, but we already thought he was dead once.
Nope.
Like,
I get it. You're making a solid point. I just don't know. That just seems like such a dice roll, but I get what you're saying.
yeah, but they've 6 years in. I mean, you
That's a
gotta
good-
think
yeah,
he's got to be looking for what's beyond The Walking Dead, even though it's clearly served him very well. And what's beyond The Walking Dead might be a short, sharp shock of a baseball bat to the head.
God dang. All right, just damn. Well, what do you guys think? Is a one-eyed Carl better than no Carl at all? Who do you think will bite the dust this season? Are you pumped for the arrival of Negan? Let's discuss. Dan, you have a whole Dan Cave video about the new villain this season. Am I right?
You are so right, Jess. That's right. Negan is coming to The Walking Dead. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is going to play him. And, a lot of people think that he is the greatest villain since the Governor, which is really saying something because he holds a high place in the Walking Dead pantheon of real assholes. And I have everything that you need to know about him on the Dan Cave, where he came from, why people are excited, and all the terrible stuff he does. So check it out.
Awesome, guys. Check that out and more over at Nerdist.com.